So yeah, I'm just carrying on talking about my problems with the word resilience, and why I'm not sure it's the best word to use to describe someone who's struggling. I think it's a misused word that's overused. Like the word freedom and lots of other words that are overused, and you have to deconstruct what they actually mean, and it's actually quite problematic. The word resilience applies more to objects than to people. Like I say, if I was truly resilient, I've experienced a lot during the pandemic, right? Because I'm now housebound. Okay, this is going to have a lifelong impact on me. If I was truly resilient, it wouldn't have any impact, would it? But again, everything we go through has an impact because we're human beings. Like, you experience a stress or a strain, it's going to affect you. Like, I can't be bound back to how I was before the pandemic, no matter what happens going forward. And if I do eventually manage to go out again, it's still going to affect me. So I'm not resilient, because no one is. I'm not going to completely rebound. And I don't, like I say, I don't have a choice as to how I deal with this. Someone else might get really depressed or something. Are they not resilient then? But that isn't fair, because they can't help it if they get depressed. Like, we can't, I can't help, the fact I'm not depressed isn't a choice I make either. I'm just lucky I don't tend to get depressed. That's just probably a genetic thing. Like, we inherit different genes, don't we? I'm prone to anxiety, not depression. Someone else might get depressed and be in the same situation as me. Are they any less resilient than me because they get depressed? Because I'm always thinking, when someone says that, it's almost a backhanded jibe at people who, for whatever reason, can't do what I'm doing, and that's not their fault. So I feel sorry for them. And the fact is, it's also a bit offensive to me, because I wouldn't say I actually am resilient anyway. I don't know, what does it even mean? It's just psychobabble. I find it psychobabble. But we have limited choice as to how we respond to situations. Not to say we don't have any choice. I'm not saying that. We do have some ability to choose, but we don't have as much choice as what we think we do. I prefer the word malleable. I think people can be malleable. Malleable is not the same thing as resilient. To use an analogy, imagine I'm a cup, yeah? Think I'm a cup, okay? And it's, I don't know, maybe like, not a breakable cup, a cup that doesn't break. You know what I mean? One of those cups that doesn't break easily, okay? Okay, it falls to the floor, you drop it. It doesn't break, because it's not made of a breakable material, but it does have a little dent on it. It's malleable. It's absorbed the shock. You see, when I absorb shock, okay, like, the stress, you absorb it. But in the process, you do get a little bit dented. That might be a one-off event, and that cup is still perfectly serviceable. You can drink from it. It's just got a little blemish on it. You might not even notice it much. But again, that cup gets repeatedly dropped over time, and it sustains greater and greater wear and tear over time, inevitably, as I do over time. I sustain greater and greater wear and tear. I'm not resilient, I'm malleable, but it's gonna have an impact on me. Because if I was resilient, I wouldn't show any wear and tear. I just rebound, like almost as if nothing has happened. That's not how human beings are. Literally no one's like that, which is why resilient is a wrong analogy. If we're going to compare ourselves to objects, which is always problematic anyway. So yeah, that cup is repeatedly dropped, till eventually it sustains a hole, a little pinprick hole, and the water starts falling out. It's like a leak. You still might be able to drink from it a bit, but it's not ideal having a tiny little hole in it. And then that hole gets bigger, until, oh my god, it got a proper leak. And you can no longer use that cup anymore. And then you're going to have to either repair that cup or replace it. You can't replace human beings though, but the damage might be so great after a certain period of time that you need some quite serious intervention. That's going to obviously cost a lot more and be more intensive than, say, if that cup hadn't been dropped repeatedly in the first place. So I might be malleable. I'm not resilient though. So if they want to use that, if they want to try and tell someone to congratulate someone on how they're coping, which seems a bit odd to me, because you're only coping the way you know how, or you don't really have a choice over it. People talk about rebounding back from adversity, as though it's like people like that make someone kind of moral or something, or extra noble because they can do it. I hate that. It's like a kind of moral value judgment or hierarchy. And again, like I say, we don't choose how we respond to events. And it also can actually trivialise what someone's going through. Even it might actually appear, because often appearances could be deceptive anyway. Like it might appear that you're rebounding, but are you really? Because you're actually sustaining quite a lot of inner shit damage, like toxicity. That's obviously going to stay with you for the rest of your life. Like your body has absorbed a lot of shock and stress that's going to stay with you. Gets stored in the body. It's embodied. You know, you're literally being internally dented. That's not good, is it? So being told you're resilient, I just find it's a backhanded compliment. I find it rather offensive, particularly when it's used by mental health professionals, because I also feel it's fobbing me off and saying, oh, well done, patronising pat on the head. Well done, you're getting through this on your own. You don't really need support then, do you? It's not great to be told you're resilient, particularly when you're not getting any support. I mean, okay, fair enough, if you're also getting support, it might not be so offensive, but it's when you're being told this platitude, you're not even getting support, so that did kind of irritate me. But anyway, what I'm saying is, so I've reached a brick wall with mental health. I'm not really going to get any further with it. She did say that I can come back to them in the future once I've managed to get support from social services first. So it's not really that great, because I'm on a waiting list for social services and it's taking literally forever to see someone, to have a review. I'm not getting the support I should be getting. It's actually quite disgusting. Being housebound is kind of starting to affect me now. I hate it. Fucking hate it. Excuse my French. Swearing is cathartic, so sometimes I have to swear. But yeah, I really fucking hate it. Being housebound without any support is horrible. And struggling to get 2 COVID vaccines. That was the other thing, by the way. I might have to do another video on this. This is another point, but she also seemed to diss my need for 2 COVID jabs a year. She understood why I needed it, but she kept on relating it to OCD and saying it's a safety behaviour and stuff. Which, well, yes and no. Like, isn't taking psychiatric medication also a safety behaviour though? Because if you're taking psychiatric medication, that's kind of making it easier to, in theory, depending on if it actually works or not. But assuming it does work, it's kind of making it easier for you to deal with the OCD. It's like a prop, a crutch, and ideally you don't want to be on psychiatric meds for the rest of your life. They're meant to be like a temporary solution. Some people are, because they have to be, but ideally you would hope that you wouldn't need to take them forever. It's meant to just be like a temporary crutch, and then you're supposed to wean them off and then deal with it on your own. So aren't they also a safety behaviour? So isn't it a bit ironic them trying to get me to take psychiatric meds, and I'm not going to take them, by the way, but isn't it a bit ironic them trying to get me to take psychiatric meds, which are far more likely to have side effects, and are actually far more risky than COVID jab. COVID jab's far safer than psychiatric meds in terms of its effect on the body, and it's not like you're taking meds all the time. It's, quite a rare event, we're only talking like twice a year. Isn't that... It's no less a safety behaviour than taking psychiatric medication. A lot of the impact of psychiatric meds is the placebo effect. That's not to say they don't have an impact on the brain, but we don't really know 100% how they work. We don't really understand the chemistry of what's going on in the brain. It's just an assumption that someone's got a deficit in serotonin. We don't really know. No one can really say conclusively what's happening in my brain. Or I don't know. I might even have an excess of serotonin. Unless someone were to actually study my brain, how would we actually know? So a lot of the impact of psychiatric meds is the placebo effect. And that doesn't mean that that's not good. The placebo effect is, that in and of itself. I mean, if something works, it works, right? It doesn't matter whether it's a placebo effect or a real effect. The fact is, it works. But the COVID jab actually has a real benefit, like it literally makes me less likely to get COVID, which is a serious disease. And I still feel lots of people are actually underestimating the actual risks of this disease. And ideally, I wouldn't have OCD and be able to deal with it in a better way. Like, I should still be able to go out and stuff. Like, I'm not saying people shouldn't be dealing with it like how I'm dealing with it. That's unhealthy. But at the same time, it is still a serious disease, and I feel lots of people are actually not taking it seriously enough. I need these jabs because literally I can't handle being ill. And it's not great for a psychologist just to say, you realise that's a safe space, particularly when they're not actually giving me any fucking support anyway. I mean, you know, he's like, yeah, just throw me out into the cold. And I found that quite disgusting. And like I say, if these jabs actually help me, give me a chance of actually getting out and about, if I were to have regular guaranteed jabs combined with social support, it needs to be combined, that actually helps me get out. And surely that's a meaningful safety behaviour. It might be a safety behaviour, but isn't it better I do that than actually gives me a chance to get out and about? It just shows a complete lack of comprehension of autism as well and how it interacts with OCD. So do let me know your thoughts. I'm going to stop now because I think this video is going to run out of me, but I just wanted to share that, and as I say, do let me know if you have any thoughts on this. So thank you for watching.